So in this particular Bookmas video, I would like to talk about the books that I'm planning on getting next year. Not necessarily ones that are published next year, but ones that I have not gotten to yet, but want to buy for myself and then read. I really liked the video that I did at the beginning of this year where I was like 5 books I need to read in 2019, and I'm going to be doing that as well. But these are books that I specifically do not own at the moment and want to get for myself. So full disclosure for this, I basically just looked at Cece's from Problems of a Book Nerd's video, Favorite Books of All Time, because I loved that video and it showed me a lot of books that I haven't actually thought about picking up, and seeing her really like it made me sort of be like, maybe I should get them. Some of these books are books that I was interested in, but then for a variety of different reasons I did not pick up. So this is sort of a push for myself to try and get them at least next year. So the first book series for that is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. I've read a Patrick Ness book. I've started it. I've started reading, oh gosh, what was it called? Release. And I didn't vibe with it, so I stopped reading it, and then I sort of didn't really want to pick up anything by Patrick Ness again, which is quite sad, but because Cece really likes this particular series, which is quite surprising to me, and it makes me want to pick it up, basically. I might not get it physically, I might just borrow it from my library, but it's something that I'm definitely getting for myself for the reading period next year. The other book that I would like to get is Graceling by Kristin Cashore. Now this is for very different reasons. It was also mentioned by Cece, but Kristin Cashore is one of my favourite authors because she wrote Jane Unlimited, which is one of my favourite books of all time. More about that later. I love her writing style and I love that book so much. It's so important to me. And I've always been meaning to pick up Graceling. However, I've heard quite negative reviews of it, saying that it's very generic, it's just another sort of typical fantasy series. And then I've heard some surprisingly good reviews from people I really trust and whose sort of reading taste sometimes mirror my own. And I think Cece saying that it was one of her favourite books was also a big sort of persuading factor for me to try and actually get that book. So I'm definitely either getting it on ebook or getting it physically. If I love it on ebook, I'm gonna get it physically so I can annotate it. That's what usually happens. But yeah. Now the next book that I really want to get is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Now that's the first book that was actually published this year in 2019. I haven't gotten it yet, but it's been on my radar for a very long time. Basically this summer, everyone fell in love with that book. And I'm intrigued. I want to know why. I've read my first adult romance in a very long time this year, which is Princess in Theory. And I loved it. So I'm sort of cautiously optimistic about Red, White and Royal Blue. I might read it when I go over to London again. We'll see. I'm not completely certain, but I've had very good experiences with reading books in London this year, so it's a plan. Now the next book that I would like to get to is The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. Now this is a book that I've only seen reviewed by Cece, and it's a sci-fi. This might be a bad idea, you guys. Alright, me and sci-fi have not gotten along a lot lately. And this is supposed to be quite a character-driven sci-fi, which again, I'm not always about. I'm gonna get it on audiobook and be safe. But she has said that it's basically like a fucked up sci-fi horror book, which I'm not so much into sci-fi, but I do like some horror occasionally, at least horror themes, like, yeah, so I'm hoping I'll like it. It's queer as well, so we'll see. The next book that I need a bit of a push to get for myself is We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson, which again has been very hyped up by Cece. and it's about a boy who is feeling very depressed. I think his boyfriend committed suicide. He gets abducted by aliens, and they gave him the option to save humanity, and he's like, should I? And that's basically the story. According to Cece, that is her favourite Sean David Hutchinson, and I really want to read Sean David Hutchinson, but that book is a little bit tricky for me because it might be a little bit triggering, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to put too much pressure on me to read it, but I want to get it. And the last book that I want to get for myself is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Once again, another book that has sort of taken BookTube by storm this year. I've had it reviewed a lot by Books and Lala and other thrillery booktubers. And I don't usually read thrillers, so it is something that I would like to pick up, something that I would like to try. We'll see how it goes. I know these are 6 books, not 5, but bear with me. Yeah. So those are the books I would like to get for myself next year. If you read any of these books, tell me which ones you prefer, which ones you think that I would like, and I'll talk to you down below.